Hi, I'm Renly. For most of my 26 years, I've been the peacekeeper in our blended family. When Dad married Diane 7 years ago, I welcomed her and her son Jackson with open arms. We used to stay up late watching horror movies and arguing about plot holes. He'd help me with car maintenance, and I'd proofread his college essays. Everyone said how lucky Dad was that we all got along so well. If only they knew what was happening beneath the surface. Ren, you look terrible. What happened? My best friend Mia asked as I collapsed into our cafe booth. Her reporter's intuition was already on high alert. She could read me like a headline. My brakes failed on the highway yesterday. Nearly crashed into a semi. My hands still shook as I reached for the coffee she'd ordered. 2 sugars, splash of cream, my comfort drink. Mia's eyes widened, concern washing over her face. Are you serious? How did you stop? Emergency lane and handbrake. Had to drag the car against the guardrail. The mechanic said it wasn't wear and tear. The brake line was deliberately cut. The words felt foreign coming out of my mouth, like I was describing someone else's nightmare. Cut? Who would... Mia paused, her expression darkening as understanding dawned. Jackson? I nodded, swallowing hard. Things have been weird since Dad changed his will to include me in the business. I thought I was imagining it at first. The cold glares, the snippy comments, the way he'd leave the room whenever I entered. Has he said anything specific? Mia leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper, though the cafe was nearly empty on this rainy Tuesday morning. 2 weeks ago, he cornered me in the garage, said, "You know that business was supposed to be mine when Mom married your dad, right?" When I told him Dad wanted both of us involved, he laughed and said, "We'll see about that." His eyes were different, cold, like I was looking at a stranger wearing my stepbrother's face. You think he tampered with your brakes? Mia's knuckles whitened around her mug. He called after I got home from the mechanic, asked if I'd had any car trouble lately. I shuddered, remembering his voice. Casual, but with an undercurrent of something sinister. When I mentioned my brakes failed, he laughed and said, "Too bad it didn't work. Maybe next time you won't be so lucky." "Call the police right now," Mia insisted, already reaching for her phone. "He tried to kill you, Ren. This isn't sibling rivalry. It's attempted murder." I caught her wrist. I don't have proof it was him. The mechanic's report just says the line was cut, not who did it. It would be his word against mine. My cousin Ellis works at that security company that installed cameras at your parents' house last year, remember? Mia's eyes lit up. The driveway ones record, right? And your car was parked there? A spark of hope ignited in my chest. Yes, Dad insisted because of the storm forecast. Said the oak tree near the street might drop branches. Ellis can access that footage. If Jackson went near your car. She was already typing furiously on her phone, summoning the cavalry. The cafe door opened with a jingle of bells, and I froze as my stepsister Casey walked in. At 21, she'd always been caught in the middle. Jackson's sister, but the family peacemaker. Her face was unnaturally pale, dark circles under her eyes suggesting she hadn't slept. Renly? I've been looking everywhere for you. Her voice trembled as she slid into the booth beside Mia. I heard about your accident. There's something you need to know about Jackson. Casey twisted her silver bracelet nervously, a gift from her father before he passed away. Her eyes darted around the cafe as if afraid someone might be watching. I found something in Jackson's room yesterday. Mom asked me to bring his laundry up, and there was this notebook open on his desk with your name circled in red. She stopped, taking a shaky breath. I shouldn't have looked, but the way he's been acting lately, I was worried. What did it say? I leaned forward, coffee forgotten in front of me, growing cold. A journal entry about how you were stealing his birthright? How your dad never should have changed his will? Casey's voice dropped even lower. There was a list, Ren. A list titled Accidents Happen. It had dates, methods, locations. Was brake cutting on the list? Mia asked, her reporter instincts fully engaged now. Casey nodded, a tear escaping down her cheek. Along with faulty wiring in apartment and allergic reaction opportunity. It was detailed, Ren. Times, places, even contingency plans. I took photos before he came home. She slid her phone across the table with shaking hands. The handwriting was unmistakably Jackson's, the same precise script that used to leave me encouraging notes before big exams. Now it documented ways to end my life. Why are you showing me this? I studied her face, searching for any sign of deception. We'd always been friendly, but never as close as Jackson and I had once been. Because this isn't who we are, who my family is. Mom might be blinded by love for Jackson, but I'm not. She met my eyes with surprising steel in her gaze. And because he's getting worse. I overheard him on the phone last night, laughing about your accident, saying next time would be foolproof. He sounded excited, Ren. Like this was all some twisted game. We need to take this to the police, Mia stated, her voice leaving no room for argument. This is premeditated. He could have killed you. Do you know who was on that call? I asked Casey, scrolling through the disturbing photos, each one making my stomach clench tighter. His friend Devin. They've been thick as thieves lately. Devin works at that auto shop on Maple Street. Casey pulled at a loose thread on her sleeve. They were laughing about how easy it was to get to your car. Where your dad takes all the family cars for service, Mia noted, connecting the dots. Including yours. When was your last oil change, Ren? 2 weeks ago. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Devin would have records of your car's service history. He might have told Jackson exactly how to sabotage your brakes. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Flying home early. Need to talk about the accident. Jackson says you're making accusations. Says you're jealous about the business. He's already spinning this. I showed them the message, hand trembling, making it sound like I'm paranoid or vindictive. We need more than just the notebook, Casey said with surprising determination. We need the security footage and statements from people who've seen how Jackson's been acting. Ellis, Mia's cousin, approached our table, his face grim as he sat down beside us. His security company uniform was slightly rumpled, suggesting he'd come straight from his shift. I checked your home security remotely, he said without preamble. The footage from 2 nights ago shows someone approaching your car at 2:17 a.m. with tools. The build matches your stepbrother's description, and he wasn't trying to hide his face. Can you get a copy? I asked, hope rising in my chest. Already did. He patted his laptop bag. But there's something else you should know. Ellis glanced at Casey apologetically. There's audio from the driveway camera. After tampering with the car, he said quite clearly, "Sweet dreams, sis. Hope you never wake up." Casey's face crumpled. I knew he was angry, but I never thought he'd go this far. It's like he's become someone else entirely. My phone buzzed again. Jackson, heard you've been asking questions about your accident? We should talk. Just us. Tonight at Riverside Park, 7 p.m. Let's sort this out before Dad gets back. I showed them the message, a chill running down my spine. He knows we're on to him. Casey whispered, fear evident in her voice. What will you do? Meet him, I said slowly, an idea forming, with Detective Ramirez listening in. This is insane, Renly. You can't meet him alone, Mia protested, as Detective Ramirez adjusted the recording device under my jacket. We were in a police van 2 blocks from Riverside Park, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the pavement. She won't be alone, Ramirez assured her, her experienced hands checking the equipment one last time. We'll have officers positioned around the park, and we'll be listening to everything. The moment he confesses or threatens you, we move in. What if he doesn't say anything incriminating? Casey asked, hugging herself tightly. She'd spent the afternoon giving her official statement, tears streaming down her face as she detailed her brother's recent behavior changes. The evidence we have is already compelling, Ramirez said, her calm voice steadying us all. The security footage, the journal entries, the mechanic's report. But a confession would make the case airtight. I took a deep breath, trying to slow my racing heart. I can get him to talk. He's always been arrogant, thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He'll want to gloat. Just remember to guide the conversation to the accident naturally, Ramirez reminded me. Ask open-ended questions. Let him do most of the talking. And if you feel unsafe at any point, say, I need to go now. That's our signal to intervene immediately. At 6:55 p.m., I sat on a bench in the empty park, watching the path where Jackson would appear. The weight of the recording device felt heavy against my ribs, a constant reminder of what was at stake. At exactly 7 o'clock, Jackson rounded the corner. His confident stride and smirk made my stomach turn. This was the boy who'd helped me move into my first apartment, who'd defended me when kids in high school called me stuck up for getting good grades. When had he changed? Or had this darkness always been there, waiting? Well, if it isn't my favorite stepsister, he called out, dropping onto the bench beside me with casual grace. Survived your little highway adventure, I see. No thanks to you, I replied, forcing myself to meet his gaze. Jackson's eyes narrowed, a flash of something dangerous crossing his face before his mask of indifference returned. What's that supposed to mean? I think you know. The brake line on my car didn't cut itself. Accidents happen, he shrugged, echoing the title of his list. Cars malfunction, especially old ones like yours. This wasn't a malfunction. The mechanic was very clear. Someone deliberately cut my brake line. And you think I did it? Why would I hurt my dear stepsister? His voice dripped with sarcasm. The term of endearment twisted into something ugly. Because of Dad's will. You think the business should be all yours? Jackson's face darkened, the facade cracking. It should be. Your father swooped in, married my mother, and suddenly thinks he can divide my birthright with his precious daughter. That business was promised to me since I was 15. That doesn't justify trying to kill me, I said, my heart pounding so hard I worried the microphone would pick it up. Kill you? That's a serious accusation. His mocking smile didn't reach his eyes. Got any proof? The security cameras caught you tampering with my car. For a moment, genuine surprise flickered across his face before he regained his composure. Those cameras don't record. Mom had them installed as deterrents. They were upgraded last month. HD video and audio. I leaned forward slightly. Full color, night vision, crystal clear. His smile faltered, uncertainty creeping in. You're bluffing. Sweet dreams, sis. Hope you never wake up. Sound familiar? I quoted his own words back to him. His expression hardened as realization dawned. So what if I adjusted your brakes a little? It was just to scare you, teach you a lesson about taking what's mine. Cutting a brake line isn't adjusting, Jackson. It's attempted murder. You could have killed me or anyone else on that highway. Consider it a warning. Walk away from the business or next time I won't fail. His voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You think that evidence will hold up? Devin will swear your brakes were fine when he serviced them. It'll be your word against mine, and we both know who Mom and your dad will believe. What about Casey? She found your notebook? Your accidents happen list? Genuine shock registered on his face, the first real emotion I'd seen. Casey would never betray me. We're blood. She already has. She gave her statement to Detective Ramirez this afternoon. Jackson's composure finally cracked completely. He grabbed my arm roughly. You little snake. You've turned my own sister against me? Let go of me, I said loudly, knowing the microphone would pick up the altercation. You've ruined everything. That business was mine. Everything was perfect until you convinced him to change the will. I didn't convince him of anything. He made that decision himself. Liar! Jackson shouted, pulling me to my feet. You should have died on that highway. Next time you will. I'll make sure of it. Detective Ramirez and 2 officers emerged from their hiding places. Jackson Morris, Ramirez announced clearly. You're under arrest for attempted murder, making criminal threats, and assault. As they led him away in handcuffs, Jackson's face contorted with rage. This isn't over, Renly. You'll regret this. I swear you will. 6 months later, I sat in the courtroom as the jury foreman stood to deliver the verdict. On the charge of attempted murder in the first degree, we find the defendant, Jackson Morris, guilty. Dad squeezed my hand, Mia on my other side. Casey sat behind us, her expression a mixture of grief and relief. Jackson glared at me, his eyes burning with hatred as officers led him away. Outside, Reporters clustered around us. Dad stepped forward protectively. My daughter has been through enough. We're grateful justice was served. Later at Mia's apartment, our small group gathered to process the verdict. I never thought it would come to this when I married Diane, Dad said, voice heavy with regret. You can't blame yourself, I told him. Jackson made his choices. What about Mom? Casey asked quietly. She's talking about moving closer to the prison. She still believes he's innocent. People believe what they need to, Ramirez said gently. I'm starting therapy, Casey admitted. And applying to colleges out of state. I need a fresh start. What about you, Ren? Mia asked. I'm running the business with Dad. Not because it's my birthright, but because I'm good at it. I took a deep breath. And I'm not living in fear. That's what he wanted. Casey raised her glass. To new beginnings. As we clinked glasses, I felt peace for the first time in months. Not because Jackson was behind bars, but because I'd stood up for myself. This experience taught me that trust has to be earned, I said. And when that trust is broken, you don't have to forgive to move forward. Will you ever speak to him again? Casey asked, her voice small. No, I answered honestly. Some bridges can't be rebuilt, and that's okay. Later, Mia asked, do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't reported him? I paused. The mechanic said the brake line was cut to fail gradually. He wanted it to look like an accident. And he would have tried again. I turned to my friend. What would you have done? The same thing you did, she said without hesitation. Some lines can't be crossed without consequences. Outside, the city lights twinkled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, I felt ready for whatever came next. Ready to go home? Mia asked. I nodded, a small smile forming. More than ready. What would you have done if someone you trusted had betrayed you so completely? Would you have found the courage to stand up for yourself, even if it meant tearing apart a family? Share your thoughts below.